Hello everyone, welcome to our April edition of Conversations with Dr. Spriggs. My name's Janet Spriggs and I'm pleased to be and honored to be the president at Forsyth Technical Community College. Today I have with me someone I'd like to introduce more broadly to our community, both internally and externally, the Forsyth Tech community. Dr. Jacob Surratt is with me. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Jacob is our new Vice President and Chief Academic Officer. I think your official title is Vice President for Student Academic Success. Is that right, Jacob?
Yes, that's right.
And I'd like to start off by just giving you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, and why you wanted to be a part of our Forsyth Tech family.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I guess my background is I was born into a family of educators. Education's all I've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
So I started off as an elementary PE teacher and quickly realized that wasn't what I wanted to do the rest of my life. And as I pursued my master's degree, I had an opportunity to start teaching adjunct at a community college in North Carolina, Gaston College, and fell in love with it from day one. Mm-hmm. And never looked back and had wonderful opportunities there. In multiple roles, and then most recently at Wytheville Community College in Southwest Virginia, which is close to home. I'm originally from Mount Airy and grew up there. So Forsyth Tech's always been kind of on my radar. I've heard a lot about it, seen a lot of good things, and heard a lot of good things about Forsyth Tech. So when this position came open, I wanted to pursue that and have the honor to be here and serve, and love it because of the focus we're having on student success in this community, that diverse community that we have. So
That's
I think we have
awesome.
wonderful opportunities to truly make a difference.
Yeah, and I know that as we've gotten to know each other since December when you got here, we've spent a lot of time talking, both you and I together, but also talking with your team members and your executive leadership team colleagues about our Vision 2025 and about those aggressive, assertive, if you will, or bold, whatever adjective you'd like to use, our bold strategic goals and outcomes, because we did not shy away from our mission and vision when we created our Vision 2025 strategic plan. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's one of the things that attracted me to Forsyth Tech is we're not shy from truly setting those goals and imagining without boundaries, as we often put it here, is we know that the needs are great, but we're not afraid to try to address them together, not only internally, but with our community partners and other partners. And I think that's what it's going to take, is to be bold, courageous, to achieve those goals and truly serve our students and our community.
Be willing to think differently.
Think differently.
Because we have a bold vision statement about being a catalyst for equitable economic mobility. Tell me a little bit about some ideas that you have about how you're going to lead our student academic success division towards these Vision 2025 strategic goals and outcomes. What kinds of things do you and your team, what kinds of things are we looking at and working on and thinking about to help us achieve this bold vision and these assertive outcomes?
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for the question. I want to go back to that term, catalyst, is key. That spark. And so kind of igniting the thought of how we achieve that, especially in student academic success in our academic areas where we're really focused on teaching and learning. And when we're looking at our goals, it's focused on helping students improve the completion rates, improve their success rates, reduce withdrawal rates, removing barriers within our policies and procedures and everything we're doing. Not sacrificing rigor, not sacrificing making sure that they are truly prepared for the next level, but thinking of how we redesign their experience. And probably the largest emphasis we're focused on right now is short-term courses, really 7.5-week courses for us.
Okay.
And that spark came from looking at other colleges across the country that have achieved the results we are desiring to achieve through that strategic initiative. And when we look at the colleges such as Amarillo, Odessa, Northeast Wisconsin Tech, Trident Technical Community College in South Carolina, who have moved to a majority of those classes being offered in that modality, they have seen significant improvements in their withdrawal rates and their success rates, especially for minorities and persons of color, which is what we definitely want to focus on here. So
Right.
that's probably our largest emphasis now.
Yeah.
And we have a wonderful team of faculty and staff, a really collaborative approach to helping us figure out how we carry out that work and achieve that goal.
Right. So this wasn't something that you just decided one night or one day that it was important, or that anyone really decided this is something we want to look at. We really got where we are today with this action team that is, as you said, co-chaired by staff and faculty and comprised of both staff and faculty. We pulled that team together because the data was leading us to an exploration of how that might benefit Forsyth Tech students and how it might help us with our equity agenda and how it might help us be that catalyst for economic mobility, right?
That's right, exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we weren't only looking at the data and the success rates of our neighbors and our partners, but our own data was pointing to that as well. This is nothing new. We were already teaching
Right.
classes in a shorter time frame, and that data largely in part pointed to more likely success
Yeah.
for students. So the task force looked at that and made some recommendations on courses and programs that could go live this fall.
Wow.
And some of them were already most of the way there anyway.
Yeah.
So that was our first step.
That's great. That's great. And so for anyone who doesn't know community college semesters, our typical semester has always been maybe 15 weeks, 16 weeks in some places, but it's been a longer period of time, and students, if they're full-time, might take 4 classes or 5 classes in that 15 or 16 week window. So what we're talking about is a redesign of how, same competencies, I'm going to take the same class I took for 16 weeks or 15 weeks and 7.5 weeks, and at the end I'm going to learn, I'm walking away with the same competencies and have learned the same thing, but we're teaching it within that shorter time frame, and they're taking less classes, I think 2 classes per term
2 to
generally.
3, yes.
Yeah, and what are we seeing, what is the data showing us, and at these other colleges, how are students, how do they feel about that? Do they like this? Are we doing it for a reason to support students better?
So it's interesting that you asked that question. I think just like anything, at first for students what I've heard and seen is for students who have been in the traditional model of a 15-week or 16-week, they may be a bit apprehensive at first, now thinking, how do I achieve this? But once they get into it and they realize that it's easier to manage 2 classes than 4 or 5.
Right. You're more focused,
yes,
right?
And really it builds momentum. There was an interesting data point, I believe, from Odessa that said in the midst of the pandemic, because they were already in that model of 8-week, it caused no disruption for their students. They had already finished that first 8 week.
Oh, yeah.
They had built that momentum, they'd not lost anything, and they were able to transition really easily. So it's not only allow students to manage more or have a better time managing their course load in the midst of everything else they're struggling with, it builds momentum. Psychologically, they achieve something.
Right.
And so they
That's
can
wonderful.
then move to the next step and continue those small steps one at a time.
Yeah,
2 at a time.
and that's really important for our students. You know, one of the things, this is April, and it's Community College Month in our nation. We're celebrating #CC Month. So you'll see a lot of that on our social media platforms this month. And we do that intentionally. The wonderful thing about CC Month and having a special month to talk about community colleges is that it allows us to talk about the uniqueness of the community college. I know I'm slightly biased after 25 years in this work, but for me, a community college is always the place I would want to be in higher education. We're not a university, right? Our tagline is a place of promise, and we want to be that place of promise for everyone, no matter where you are. So what I'm hearing about this 7.5 and 8 week is that it's very different. So obviously we're going to have to think differently about how we build the competencies, and your faculty are working to restructure their classes, and that's a lot of work, but we're going to build in supports and professional development and time and resources to help with that. But it's also, as we think about community colleges this month and the difference, the uniqueness that makes us who we are, this is really an initiative to recognize that our students in general have all these outside things going on, right? Probably when you and I first went to college, I was a community college student, but I started at the university. And when I went away to college, I had a work-study job, but I went away and focused on college, right? Did you do that as well? Pretty much. I mean, we were at the university, right? And our students have families. They have jobs. I think 70 or more percent of our students are working full or part-time. So that's a unique aspect of the community colleges. I think it's important for us to remember we have to think differently about how we deliver instruction. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And understanding who our students are, our student population, really understanding our community, because that's what I love about the community college is it is rooted in the community. We truly have the opportunity to impact our community and see the fruits of our labor around us. To make a difference by what we do in the classroom and advising, through breaking down barriers and serving students. And so, you know, moving to this this model of shorter term classes can help break down a barrier for a student who, like you said, may have financial hardships, balancing and juggling family responsibilities. And when push comes to shove and they're taking 5 or 6 classes, what would they decide to drop?
Where are their priorities?
Where would their priorities shift? But if they're taking 2 classes or 3 classes, and they're seeing momentum and they've achieved something,
might be easier to keep going.
Easier to manage. And it's not only just redesigning instruction, which our faculty are wholeheartedly working towards helping us achieve that, but it's the collaborative approach with our advisors, looking at how our calendar is designed, looking at how we put in framework to support students in this. So it's going to take the entire community, our internal community, to truly do this.
That's great.
And we're seeing that already.
That's wonderful.
Exciting.
Yeah, we are one Forsyth Tech,
We
right?
are, yes.
Not a difference for us for our students or between faculty and staff. We're all working together, united, as our one word for the year would say, to make the difference for our community. We'll end with that. I think our time is just about up, Jacob. I want to say thank you very much for you taking the time to talk with me. And I will say that I love that you brought in that community in our name, since it is Community College Month. It is important for Forsyth Tech to work within our community needs and to provide the educational pathways for our students that meet the needs of our community. That's another uniqueness of community colleges that's really important. And I think it's also important to know that most of our students are going to graduate and go to work right here, unlike going to a university and then going anywhere else or somewhere else to work.
How good does it make you feel when you go out in the community and you see a student that you've taught or affected and see how their lives have changed?
That's exactly right.
That's why I came to community college.
Yeah, me too, absolutely. And I love having our nursing students, particularly because I see them when I'm at the doctors, and I never worry about being taken care of. As long as I know they came to Forsyth Tech. So thank you all. Thank you, Jacob, and thank you all for taking time to learn a little bit more about Dr. Surratt, our new Vice President and Chief Academic Officer, and also to let us share a little bit with you about some exciting things that are going on at Forsyth Tech as we work to be a place of promise for every student within our community. Thank you so much.